comic stew.
Got your tampon in?
Welcome to yet another edition of the Comic Stew. I'm Aaron, and as always, I'm joined by my permanent fellow host, Mr. JC Argensinger.
Finally not a co-host or your sidekick.
Or other host.
Or other host or
fellow host.
Side host or...
It's taken me 15 minutes to settle on the proper term. Fellow host. Well, welcome to episode 15 of the Comic Stew. We're glad you're with us. It was kind of a light news week this week, right, JC?
Pretty light. I mean, I don't think a lot of news of note, but a couple little bits and pieces.
But there were some big goings on. I mean, we had the Oscars, of course.
Yep. Now, did you go? Because I only go years I'm nominated, so I didn't go.
I respectfully declined my invitation. Just too much traffic in the area, so I stayed in this year.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But, so you made J-Law go alone?
What?
You made Jennifer Lawrence go by herself?
Oh, that's a thing with her? Her name's J-Law? That's what people call her?
That's what people call her.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to make a sound hip, but you just killed that.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I hate watching the Oscars, so I did not watch those this year. But I did look at some of the winners and all that jazz, but we'll get into that. Before we talk about the Oscars, we should talk about first off what you've been drinking or what you're sipping on.
I'm not sipping on anything. I have to be in the peak of physical condition shortly, so I'm not getting drunk like you are.
No, I'm trying to hydrate right now before our game tonight. So I'm drinking water, and of course, the Nectar of the Gods black coffee.
Yeah, that's not a hydrating thing, though.
Yeah, but I'm also drinking a huge glass of water in addition to it, so it'll work out.
Not how it works, but okay.
Yeah, if I drink a ton of water with coffee, like I'll still get hydrated if I drink more water.
Okay, moving on.
All right, well, speaking of the Oscars, let's talk about the opposite of the Oscars. Let's talk about the Razzies, because there was a movie that cleaned up the Razzies this year, and it's one that I don't know if you or I saw it, but it was a big deal when it came out in how bad it was.
Yeah, I don't know if
in how bad it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, in how bad it was. So, so apparently, Fantastic Four shared the trophy for Worst Picture with 50 Shades of Grey. So that is quite the honor it received this year. I did not see Fantastic Four. Did you?
I did not. Didn't look very good.
No. Yeah, it was already not looking what I wanted. What the hell? What's on your computer?
I clicked on your link for the Razzies.
Well, will you plug some headphones in or something?
Well,
anyways, so yeah, Fantastic Four was not a movie that I wanted to see in the way that they were portraying this version of the team. And I'm a very big fan of the Fantastic Four, as we've talked about before. So I'm kind of glad that this movie flopped, because I would like nothing more than for Marvel to get the rights back to this franchise. And this is just another step in the road for them to do that. So
you didn't want to see find out if the thing was made of orange rock too?
Well, can't you kind of deduce that because he's not wearing pants in this movie? I think we can figure that out.
You know, but he's always wearing pants in the comic.
Yeah, but I like to leave some stuff to the imagination, JC. So I like my thing with pants on.
got you to say that.
Yeah. So I guess in addition, Josh Trank, the director, won worst director.
Hasn't he directed a number of other terrible movies?
Josh Trank? No, he's actually only directed like one other movie, and it wasn't bad. It was good. It was Chronicle. Did you not see that?
No.
Yeah, Chronicle is actually really good. That's why I had high hopes for this movie. But yeah, apparently, well, I mean, there's a billion stories of how troubled the production was and blah 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 and all that. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone's heard about it. Um, but yeah, like I said, I just hope it's just another step in Marvel getting the rights back, because I do feel like they would do the Fantastic Four right.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I would actually like ideally I would like to see them introduced in the Marvel universe through other movies, and then like down the road maybe get their own movie. But it would be cool to just have them exist with the other with the other heroes, and have Reed kind of in the background, like working on stuff with Tony or something like that. Like they just make a really good addition to the MCU as it is now. So here's hoping they, do some shenanigans and get that property back. Oh, and speaking of other Marvel characters, Fox Marvel movies, apparently the release date for Gambit has disappeared. It got stolen. That release date was stolen, JC.
It was stolen.
Yes. Perhaps by the Raging Cajun himself. Yeah, I guess after Deadpool came out, Fox is rejiggering some of their release dates, and so I guess it's weird because the movie hasn't even started shooting yet. Like I think they're still in like negotiations with the director to even do the movie still, and they were planning on the movie coming out this year. So I don't know what they were thinking with that. So it seems pretty obvious that why they're moving this date. I don't think they've announced when it will be released. So
Or if
I
it
guess
will.
or if it will. No, I mean the movie's greenlit. Doug Liman is, I guess they're in negotiations with him to direct the movie. Obviously, Channing Tatum is attached to it, so it's happening. But I guess we'll just find out when the release date is soonish. I guess they have two Marvel projects that'll hit theaters October 6th and January 12th, 2018. October 6th, 2017 and January 12th, 2018. So I guess one of those could be Deadpool 2 or an X-Men movie. Who knows?
Basically, there's going to be a new superhero movie every month for the rest of time. So
Yeah, basically. So Gambit is not coming out this year. How do you feel about that movie, by the way?
I mean, I like Gambit. I until I see something of the movie, I don't have an opinion farther than that.
Okay.
I mean, if it's done well, then cool. Like if it's done shitty, then I mean, then it's shitty. But Doug Liman's a good director, so um, that's a promising director. But who knows if it's
Yeah.
if it ends up not being a Gambit movie, then it'll be shitty. Like if it's honestly
Yeah.
the character and stuff, then it could be really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on Gambit. Like he's a okay character. I haven't really seen a lot of stuff that's really cool with him in it. I would hope that this movie is kind of restrained in the way that Deadpool was, and it's not going to be a huge save the world type movie. Hopefully it'll boil down to focus on the character, and probably in like the context of like a heist film. Like that makes sense for Gambit.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
So hopefully it's smaller in scale. All right. Well, before we talk about the Oscars, let's just talk about this other Marvel, this other Fox Marvel thing, and that is apparently Liev Schreiber was talking about possibly coming back as Sabertooth in Wolverine 3. And I don't think anything's official, but he was talking about it with Hugh Jackman, and it kind of makes sense because because I think it's pretty much confirmed now that it's based on Wolverine 3 is going to be based on Old Man Logan, so it makes sense that they would want to have him as a character in there because most of the characters in Old Man Logan are not characters that Fox controls, so they're going to have to do a lot of substituting of characters. And Sabertooth definitely makes sense as a character that that would be probably like slotted into, use instead of like the Red Skull or one of the villains from Old Man Logan. And plus, even though that the movie is widely reviled, I actually thought Liev Schreiber was one of the best parts of the X-Men or the Wolverine Origins movie. So I would like to see him come back.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of whatever about this. It's another Wolverine movie that I think needs to. It's a series that has too many movies already.
Really, 2 movies is too many?
He's in like 7 movies, dude.
Oh, you're talking about the character being in too many movies, but you don't like him having solo movies.
I don't know. I like him having solo movies, but I don't feel like any of them have been good as far as I've heard. I haven't even seen some of them. So,
have you seen any of them? I mean, there's only 2.
I
Which
saw the
ones have you
first one,
seen?
and I was like, not great.
You saw Origins?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, the second one was actually pretty good. It kind of had a messy third act, but I liked the movie overall. The Wolverine. All right. Should we talk about some Oscars?
Sure, let's talk about some Oscars.
Let's talk about it.
Who's your favorite dress?
I'm gonna have to pull up the list here, but tell me, did you watch did you do the whole like Oscar viewing thing?
I have in other years. I had to work that night actually, so actually sitting on my TiVo that I'm gonna watch. So I haven't actually watched it. I've just done what you've done and seen clips and the such.
Well, I just basically look and see the list of who won what. Probably, I mean, so you've seen all the winners and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought the biggest surprise really was Best Picture not being Revenant.
The Revenant. Yeah.
And then probably not being a movie that anyone suspected, which was Spotlight.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of that movie.
I had heard of it and wanted to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. And then I thought it was interesting that everyone lost their mind that Leonardo DiCaprio finally won an Oscar. Like he'd been suffering a terrible life before, and I'm like,
I know.
like he's been in some great movies, and it's cool that he won an Oscar, but people were making it out like he had, been living in a trailer, and now he's finally, now his career's finally made, and it's like,
right.
Well, he was okay even without the Oscar, guys. Like, don't worry about him.
Yeah, he's doing fine. He's doing fine.
Yeah.
No, it's weird how like people like they make, I don't know, they they just decide that like so and so actor needs an Oscar, but and it's like, well, he didn't win an Oscar because people thought there were better actors in other years, and this is the year that I guess people thought that he was the best actor, so good for him.
Well, yeah, and it's not like he's Scorsese old, where it's like, You know,
Yeah. Now, how old is he? He's not even that old.
he's
So
40 or something.
yeah.
I was surprised that for like directing and cinematography that Mad Max didn't win. Revenant won both of those. Uh,
Well, I think God, it's so weird how the Oscars do that. I mean, I really feel like they're so reticent to give like director and best picture to the same movie. Like it's weird, isn't it? Like it seems like they always like just divide those up. It's like, well, there's two movies we really like, so we're gonna give one best picture and one best director.
yeah, I mean Mad Max cleaned up a lot of like sound and editing.
Well, the technical Oscars, and I was actually going to say that was probably my favorite thing to see because those are my favorite. Those are my favorite awards because those are the things in movies that I notice more than probably other people. So I pay kind of more attention to those, and I
Well,
was really happy
I
to
got a
see that.
on that note. I got a question for you because this surprised me. For visual effects, over
Oh,
in
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina won over Mad Max, Star Wars, The Martian, and The Revenant.
Uh
And,
huh.
and I haven't seen The Revenant, but I've seen the other four of those, and I uh, I would have gone with Mad Max, Star Wars, or The Martian over Ex Machina. But
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, I love the movie, but the visual effects just seemed uh, much more subdued than those other movies.
Yeah, maybe that was part of it because I mean still haven't seen the movie, but just from like previews or whatever, basically the big visual effect is the robot girl, right?
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of that was very like I feel like it was an actress playing the character,
Right.
and then they just added some visual effects onto her, which seems pretty pretty easy. I don't know.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean,
Compared to some of the stuff in like Mad Max or Star Wars or uh, whatever.
well, I tell you what, like honestly, there were some really cool. Well, I guess you know what? I'm not going to say that because I was going to say a lot of the visual effects in Mad Max were obviously practical, and that does include practical effects as well. It doesn't have to be like just CG effects. So it's a complete package.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm happy though that Mad Max won as many as it did because that
yeah.
was and I don't know. I still haven't seen Ex Machina, but maybe it was good enough to deserve an Oscar of some sort. So based on what you said, I mean, isn't it cool that it won something?
No, it's definitely cool. I guess that just surprised me because wouldn't have expected that from the visual effects. Um,
Yeah. Well, I was happy, really happy to see Mad Max win the sound editing, sound mixing, because it had great music and great, sound effects in the movie, and also costume design. That was cool.
yeah.
Costume design and makeup. So, oh, and I thought this was interesting too. George Miller's wife actually edited the movie, and she, I guess, was primarily a documentary editor. So he brought her in for kind of a different feel uh, of editing an action movie, and I thought the movie was really wonderfully edited. So it was cool that editing was another Oscar that they won.
Yeah. Also, kind of crazy was the cinematography. Emmanuel Lubezki, who
Uh
won.
huh.
He won for the third straight year, having done Revenant, Birdman, and Gravity, and then he's also been nominated for like Children of Men. It's like, damn,
Oh,
three.
he did Children of Men. Nice.
Yeah, but to get three Oscars in a row, that's pretty crazy.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Um,
Nice. All right. Well,
but yeah,
is there
that's a
anything
lot.
else in the Oscars you wanted to talk about?
Not really. Um,
All right.
you wanted to talk about?
Really glad I didn't watch it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
guess Chris Rock said
Glad.
some offensive things.
Yeah, I heard there was some things said, but I'd rather just not talk about that because it doesn't really interest me.
All right.
All right. Something that I think interests you because you are a fan of The Dark Tower. Am I correct in this?
I haven't read The Dark Tower.
Oh, you haven't? I thought you had.
I have not, but
Okay.
it interests me. It's something I want to read.
You know, I haven't read The Dark Tower either. I kind of heard those books are a little bit hard to read. I know some people that have read them and enjoy them, but I've kind of been turned off by, I guess, the length of the books and how many are in the series and just how long it would take to get through them. Plus, this is gonna sound like heresy to a lot of people, but I've read a couple Stephen King books, and I've always found that Stephen King has really good ideas, but execution-wise in his writing, I haven't really latched on to his writing style. Like I read It like years ago, and it was really hard to get through. Like I did not find his writing that good, to be honest. Like I thought the ideas were really good, but not the writing
It
itself.
was hard for you to get through it.
Yeah, hard for me to get through it. I see what you did there, JC.
See what I did there? All right.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that you're complaining about a book series being too long and too dense to get through when you tell everyone you have to read Game of Thrones.
Because that series of books is incredibly executed from a writing standpoint. But I can't, after reading it, I just can't think of how I would get through his writing. I just find it I just don't find it that good. I mean, here's the thing. I know it was an older book. Maybe he kind of got better. I mean, here's the thing. I'm talking about like one of the most acclaimed writers of all time. So people obviously are really into his books, and I'm sure I'm gonna hear some shit for voicing this opinion, but that's just how I feel. So that's why I've mostly stayed away from his books. But the thing about Stephen King properties is I've seen a bunch of movies, whatever TV shows, and there was actually the Dark Tower comic series that I really enjoyed. So like I'm a fan of the properties. I'm just not really a fan of the books per se.
So you're saying you think the books are worse? We'll put that out in the universe.
Well, I mean, I'll say between the book of It and the TV miniseries of It, I enjoyed it. Whoa, sorry about that. I enjoyed the TV miniseries much more.
Wasn't it a movie?
Well, there's a movie that's coming out. I think it's coming out. That was the one that was going to be done by the.
No, it was a movie in 1990.
Wasn't it a miniseries?
No, it was just a long movie.
Are you sure?
No,
but it was a TV movie, right? The one with Tim Curry. I thought that was a TV miniseries.
It aired as a 2-part television film.
How long was it? Was it like 4 hours long or something?
187 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It was a TV event. Okay, let's settle on that.
All right.
But yeah, have you read any of the Dark Tower comic books?
No. Contribute to this. But fuck clowns. And let's move on.
Well, hold on. Let's just say that apparently, so this movie apparently is going to kind of take place not at the beginning of the series, but somewhere in the middle. Okay. So I guess they could potentially go back and fill in like kind of the earlier backstory of the gunslinger and all that. So I thought that was kind of interesting because they had like really, I guess, deep plans originally when this was first being developed, and it was going to be like a trilogy of movies and a TV show that was like accompanying it, like to fill in some of the gaps and everything. So like it was very ambitious at one time, and now it's just going to be one movie to start.
It seems like, I mean, if you have a property like this, I don't know why you wouldn't do something like a an HBO series or something to that effect.
Well, I think that's not out of the question. I think they're just setting it up now to see how it does, and if it's successful, then maybe they could do stuff down the road. But they're not exactly putting the cart before the horse anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like the casting. Matthew McConaughey, Idris Elba. You know, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yep.
Might try to read the book before that.
Yeah.
Speaking of book adaptations, the Starz television show of American Gods cast Mr. Wednesday as Ian McShane, which seems like pretty awesome casting.
Or Ian McShane as Mr. Wednesday.
No, what I just
I know what you meant.
That's what I just said.
You said they cast Mr. Wednesday as Ian McShane.
Yeah.
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 Ian McShane as Mr. Wednesday. They cast Ian McShane. Anyways, talk about this.
I was making the character the real thing. And
okay.
The actor. Sorry.
Okay, I see what you did there. So Ian McShane is Mr. Wednesday to you, apparently, then.
Well, now he is.
Well, now he really is.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. That's cool. What character is he in the book?
He recruits Shadow. For part of he's a pretty integral character. I don't want to say too much without spoiling stuff, but have you read the book?
No, I have not.
Read the book.
We've talked about this.
Read the book.
I probably will because it sounds really cool. So I think I do want to read the book.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one last story, which is kind of a downer before we talk about our book of the week. But this story is apparently there were season low ratings on Agent Carter season 2, so it seems unlikely that there's going to be a season 3. Did you watch any of Agent Carter season 2?
I did not.
Did you watch any of season 1?
No.
Okay. I saw season 1. It was a good little series. I have not watched any of season 2. Like I'll probably get around to it eventually. It was a fun little series, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of sucks because it was a good series. It was well made, so it's too bad. But I guess it had like the lowest ratings on the finale, so it seems unlikely it's coming back for season 3.
Well, we'll see. I mean, obviously, there's Marvel has the capability to keep something like that alive. If they want to keep that going. I also heard a little tidbit that and this just falls under complete trolling, I think. But of course, Morgan Freeman was asked about Ben Affleck being Batman, and
no, he said Christian Bale was a better Batman.
Well, basically, he just said that that Christian Bale's Batman was the definitive Batman. So I don't know how Affleck.
Oh, I'm shocked he would say that.
Yeah, it's but they've been putting that article out in the world to kind of. It's just kind of trolling, I feel like, and it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty actually it's kind of malicious if you think about it. It's like let's just shit on this new Batman movie coming out and by putting this out there, I don't know. It seems kind of malicious to me.
Yeah.
Just get over it.
But I did see. Did you see the new clip that they released? Oh, it looked so sick.
Oh, the one where he well, I saw a couple. Like I saw one where
Like,
Is it the one where he throws like the smoke bomb? Yeah, I saw that one, and then I saw one too where he takes out like this gang of thugs in this building. I'm talking about Batman. That was a couple weeks ago though. I saw that clip.
Yeah, no, I saw the smoke clip, and the movie looks cool as hell. I don't know if the story's gonna be a mess, if the acting's gonna be a mess, but there's gonna be some cool ass visuals.
Yeah, like Zack Snyder is gonna kill it in the action department. We know that.
Speaking
Like,
of Zack,
he's done it in every single movie he's done, so it's gonna be the same.
speaking of Zack Snyder and cool ass visuals, apparently they were interviewing Zack Snyder, obviously about Batman and Superman, and
Mm-hmm.
they were in his office, and he's got the classic painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware in his office, which is a weird thing to have for a guy who's into comics or whatever. And he just let slip that he's thinking about making a 300 style George Washington movie. And I was like, I want to see this. It sounds terrible, but that sounds
it sounds awesome. Like, I actually read that story right before we started too, and I was like, am I hearing this right? But
like,
yeah, it would be great.
You know, like, just, I mean, it would have to be completely ridiculous, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, if you did like a heightened version of like Revolutionary War heroes, like that would be kind of cool. If you did it like, if you did it in a way like 300, where everyone was like this heightened version of reality, and it could be cool. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be ever going to have time to make a movie like that, but
it would definitely be cool. I mean, it would be cheesy at the same time, but
yeah, but it would be cool.
Yeah, I feel like, I guess with 300, because that came from a property that already existed, and also because it's something that happened so long ago, where it becomes a myth, as opposed to this thing that's still fairly recent, and we know that like certain things happened or didn't happen, as opposed to the 300, where like that's a story that allegedly happened.
Well, there was parts of Washington's life and career that were like very, very close, like bordering on myth itself. I mean, there was some really crazy things that happened in his life. So there's definitely fodder there for a good movie if it's done right.
Oh, I mean, I'd watch the hell out of it. You know.
Yeah.
I think people are already anticipating seeing George Washington shirtless.
With those 8-pack abs,
kicking some British off a cliff.
Yeah. All right. Well, we joined together and read something this week that was very good. Wouldn't you? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no.
I haven't talked to you about it yet, but we both read it, and I freaking loved it.
Oh, it's great.
We're, of course, talking about a book by Mr. Brian K. Vaughan and Marcos Martin called The Private Eye, which the hardcover edition came out a while ago. I don't remember when. I've had it for a little while now.
I think it's fairly recent still.
Yeah, it came out last year sometime. I don't remember when, but it's a beautiful hardcover. Little backstory on this book. It came out in 10 parts, and it was created by Vaughan and Martin as kind of an experiment as digital comics, and it was put out under this banner they call the Panel Syndicate, and it was put out basically as just a PDF that's DRM free, blah blah blah. There's no copy protection, and basically like they just they put it on the site, and you could get it for any price you wanted to pay for it, including free. If you didn't want to pay anything for it, you could just get it for free. But I'm not sure how well it did monetarily. with that model. Like I think it did fairly well, but I haven't seen any numbers on it. But that was kind of an interesting idea behind this book, to just try something totally new. And I guess the intent was to keep it as a digital comic for however long, but he was talked into doing a hardcover version of the book with Image. So that is what we both read. And because oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I definitely appreciate the fact that they made a hardcover version because it's a beautiful package. The color, like all the artwork looks great. I did have a couple pages where I feel like the print got fucked up on mine,
Mm-hmm.
but by and large, it's a gorgeous product.
Well, I was just gonna say, format-wise, because of the digital origins of this book, everything has a very like widescreen look to it.
Yeah, like
Because it was originally formatted to basically look really good on 16:9 monitors. So the book is basically rectangular, and it's format. So it's formatted differently.
All books are rectangular, but you mean horizontally rectangular?
Yeah, it's horizontally rectangular. So it's formatted just the same as it was digitally, to look good like in a 16:9 view.
Right.
And do you want to give a little summation of the plot? Because I think the plot is really cool.
Yeah, so it's set in. I'm not sure if they say the exact year, but it's
Decades from now.
yeah, I would say it's the 80s or 90s of the next century. I would think, at least
No, I think this century.
maybe
Like
this
80.
century, but yeah, I mean it's at least the end of this century at the very earliest. I couldn't tell if it was, you know.
I took it as like the back half of this century.
Okay. Yeah. So, and basically the internet exploded at some point, and everyone's information got leaked to everyone. So all your little searches on the internet got released. So the internet disappeared, and what now everyone does is they go under aliases when they go out. So they put on masks, um, very convincing alien-looking masks, and then they go do terrible things, sexually deviant things, but it's all okay because they're under these masks. And then that's kind of like the premise of the universe. And then the main character is our private eye.
Well,
And
before you move on to that, I just to add, the one of the conceits of this new universe is, after the internet exploded and all that data was released and everyone knew everything about everyone. The internet went away. There was a rollback to almost like a 1950s look with the world, and like people are back to like wearing uh what are those, like fedoras, and it's a very like kind of interesting retro look
yeah,
to a lot of the stuff.
there's definitely like mentions of like Kodak and Polaroid and
Yeah.
other sort of things like that because not everyone's walking around with an iPhone.
Well, that's just it. They got rid of like this digital world, and they're back to really putting a priority and emphasis on like physical goods again. Like books are extremely like important, and paper, like reading the paper is like back in a big way. And yeah, all the digital technology that we kind of take for granted now is just gone, and like everyone is like really like okay with it being gone too. Like they don't necessarily want it back. They're good with how it is. And like privacy is the biggest thing about this new society. Like that is like the most prized thing about this society. And then so like people value their privacy so much that if like someone knocks on the door, like they're going to put a mask on to answer the door because they don't want to give up their identity to just anyone. So
Right.
like that's why when you go out, you see everyone wearing masks, and like you only unmask in front of like trusted coworkers or family members.
Right. And then the other interesting thing is the fourth estate, the news, has become the police as well, the detectives, which is an interesting sort of conceit as
Yeah,
well.
that was an interesting idea, having the police and the press like bundled up into one organization.
Yeah.
And well, you were about to talk about the main character of the
Yeah.
story, who is the titular private eye.
Yes, and being a private eye, as the press and the news are the police, being a private eye is actually illegal. So he's a criminal in what he does, but he points out that he can actually solve crimes because he's not just doing it for the press.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a very what would the word you would he's very paranoid.
Yeah, he's a very secretive, paranoid person who has a lot of aliases, and the book opens with him actually spying on or taking pictures of this lady as she like goes in her apartment and like is getting undressed, and he's taking pictures for it just to highlight like what he does. He's taking pictures for this guy who used to be in love with this girl in high school, and like was like longing for to reconnect with her, and so he wanted like he hired this private eye to our private eye to take pictures of this girl, and so he could hopefully like strike up a relationship with her again. But like the opening scene, he's taking the pictures, he gets caught by the press / police, and he's like chased down. So just like an introduction. I mean, he escapes, but like it just introduces like that it's illegal what he does, and
Yeah.
and just part of his job description. So it was a really cool opening like scene.
Definitely. There's a lot of great visuals. I don't know how much of the story we want to go into. But I thought it was a pretty amazing piece of work. And
I don't want to spoil any of the really want to spoil the plot, but one of the well, you can imagine something in a world without the internet is going to play some part in the story, and it is a pretty big part by the end.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's it's interesting because the story plays on the evil and the good of the internet, which is all this collection of data on people. Is seen as this evil because we all put it all out there on social media, and then it all is all collected from our search histories and all these things, and this becomes this bad thing that had happened. But at the same time, it points out the very good things about the internet, which is the ability to bring people together and illuminate things that happen in the world. Look at the rebellions that happened in Egypt that happened through Twitter, and things like that. So it plays off of those two things, saying like, here's this evil part about it, and here's this good part about it, and
I
definitely puts you in a position of saying like, I don't know who is necessarily right or good in this.
Yeah, I agree. It does show both sides. I do feel like by the end, it is leaning towards the fact that in this society that they live in, like people are happy without the internet, and like people are genuinely like fine with that. That's what I took away with it.
Well, see, I took away that people were happy, but I feel like people are happy. People were happy before the internet, and they're happy with the internet. I feel like the conceit, the point the book was also making is they don't know what is being pulled over their eyes, so to speak.
Yeah, there's a degree of, I guess, it being hidden, but at the same time, like the information is out there. So people, when people talk about like the internet, they're that era, like they kind of talk about it in a way that it's something they don't want to go back to. And I mean,
I don't think that they know. I feel like with a lot of the characters, it's something that's now 40, 50 years past. So a lot of them don't really know what they're necessarily missing, and they,
mhm.
and they were pointing out the the things that they were missing were the all the privacy stuff, as opposed to the things that the government was trying to stop, which was the communication of people to organize, to get information about things that are going on outside, beyond the
Well,
wall.
yeah. Well, one thing that I actually kind of took away from it also was that in this new world, yes, it is harder to connect with like a wide range of everyone in the world, maybe. But on the other side of that is you have much more personal connection in this new world. You may be out, wearing a mask, doing this, but there's a much more emphasis on personal connection, because you got to get out there and actually like meet people. And I don't know, that's something that I always think of when I view this internet connected world, is like, what are what are we losing by just staying behind our keyboards and just lessening the importance on getting out there and actually physically, interacting with people anymore.
Well, right, and I think that's the interesting thing that the book is playing on, is because these are the things that are, getting people, having people interacting, whether they're in masks or not, to take away their inhibition. But that's a good thing. I mean, the social media connected world that we have, like, is great for certain things, but yes, like you said, keeps people hidden behind a keyboard, which isn't necessarily good. But at the same time, um, only knowing about the world from what the news or the government is reporting, is also a scary, not good thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's not a one right way.
so
I
it, I like that it plays on both of those angles, because it's it's ambiguous as to what's really better, because you've given up you've given up certain freedoms for other freedoms, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and I also thought it was interesting how it highlights how one of the quote, I guess, bad things behind, the internet connected age was that, people were behind their keyboards and anonymous and doing this, doing that before the cloud burst. Um, and in this new world, people are still anonymous, but they're just out in the real world. Like they're anonymous because they wear masks, and it's an interesting comparison that,
Right,
we were anonymous before behind keyboards, but now we're just anonymous because we actually wear physical masks.
right, and it seems like, instead of being someone who, for instance, like, there seems it seems to play a lot on the deviant things people do online, with porn and all that, and then instead these people are just going sex clubs because they're wearing a mask, so no one knows who they are,
Yeah,
um, and it's kind of just accepted that, like, that's what people do.
yeah.
Um,
So it's just a new way of life. It's not that anything has really changed necessarily,
right.
but it's just a different way of life. And just to move on from that a little bit, because I really feel like the thing that needs to be highlighted in this book is actually the story is really solid. The characters are really good. The story takes some great twists, and the villain is has a nice representation. But to me, the big selling point of this book was the art. Um, it was I really can't describe it in any other word than just breathtaking. The way the art is laid out on the page, And the way that Marcos Martin like laid out the pages, first of all, I thought were just like incredible. And for those of you that have not seen his art, if you're not reading this, check out another thing he did with Brian K. Vaughan for Marvel, which was a miniseries called Doctor Strange: The Oath, which was one of my favorite Doctor Strange things that I read probably 10 years ago or so. And he also did a few issues of recent Amazing Spider-Man that you should also look up. They were the issues that kind of followed the fallout of when the Human Torch died. And those were some really excellent issues as well. But
I definitely agree. The artwork is stunning. And like I said, that's part of the reason why I love that they came out with a hardcover presentation of it, because I feel like it's the kind of work that you want to be able to pull out and show people, as opposed to just have stuck on a computer screen. Yeah,
and I think I mean, do you agree it's the standout thing about this series?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely. I mean, I love the story too. So I mean, but yeah, it's definitely, the artwork is striking, and it's obviously very inventive with different character masks and.
Oh yeah, he's
in this world.
He's insanely creative with his design in this book. Hear those ghetto birds flying overhead?
They're coming for you.
They're coming for me. Yep. Yeah. And as far as the design goes, it's like I said, it's really cool how it kind of has it's definitely this neo-futuristic look, like a sheen over everything, with like the buildings and the subway systems or the train systems and the design of the buildings and all that. But it also it's cool how it like has this like retro like look over everything.
Neo future retro. It's
neo future 50s retro. Like it's a really cool look.
Yeah. It's a fun book. I would love for there to be more of this. I don't know if story-wise if they've got more, but I'd love to read more of this.
Yeah, without spoiling anything, without spoiling the end, I just wanted to say that I liked the nebulous nature of the ending, and I wanted to see what you thought of that.
Well, I feel like it wasn't as nebulous as you might have thought. I felt like, I mean, it wasn't explicit. It wasn't explicit, but
yeah, it left open the possibility.
There was one line that sealed it for me, and I'll tell you that off the air.
Okay. Well, what we're saying is you should definitely read this book because it is beautiful. The story is worth getting into, and yeah, that's all I can say. It's just a gorgeous presentation.
Obviously, you can probably pick it up for free online, but I would recommend picking up the hardcover because it's something beautiful to look at.
Yeah, it's something you want on your shelf, and I personally am going to go back and reread this just for the art. I mean, the story is really solid, but I'm going to definitely be pulled back just to experience the art again.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, between the art and the story, it was like a movie, you know.
Yep.
So.
Yes, sir.
I was sold.
Yep. All right. Well.
Way up. Two thumbs way up.
All right. Well, we have a hockey game to go play, so I'm glad we both had a meeting of the minds on that book. I'm glad we got to read that finally.
All right. Anything else?
Alrighty. Onward and upward. Let's get our first win today. We are still winless after last week's scoring frenzy. JC wasn't there, but it was a crazy shootout of like I think it was 10-8. It was a crazy aggressive game. So Hopefully we can lock it down a little bit more today. JC will hopefully help with that since he plays defense. We'll see.
We'll see what I can. We'll see. If you decide to swap in net, I'll play some defense.
Okay. Well, you'll just have to wait till episode 16, lovely people, to see how we fared tonight. But thanks for being with us. Definitely read The Private Eye. Is there anything else people should be reading or watching, JC? Vikings is back on. I just started watching that, season 4 of that.
I just heard Battlestar Galactica is now streaming again on Hulu. So,
cool.
If you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica, or if you have seen it and just want to rewatch it, it's on Hulu again.
All righty. Good times. Cool. Well, real quick, Legends of Tomorrow actually had just a pretty fun little 2-parter before the Star City 2046 episode. I just wanted to mention that because I'm kind of back to having a good time with that show. And I still haven't watched the last episode of X-Files. Were we going to talk about that?
Yeah, I've seen it. So
all right, well, let's talk about it next week. I'll definitely watch it by next week.
Team blowing it.
I know. Hashtag blowing it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us, people. Join us at thecomicstew.com. Follow us on Twitter at thecomicstew. Follow JC's wonderful Instagram at JC Argensinger. And come back and see us next week. We'll be here. JC?
We'll be here whether you want us to or not.
That's right. All right. Well, for JC, I'm Aaron, and we will see you next time.
See ya.